In order to change an existing paradigm, you do not struggle to try and change the problematic model. You create a new model and make the old one obsolete. Richard Buckminster Fuller, owner of 24 Patents.
The problem.
According to the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons, by the numbers, each year there are more than 448,000 reported football-related injuries to youth under age 15, totaling more than $6.89 billion in medical, legal, and liability costs.
Incredible statistic regarding football's possible effect on the brain. In a new study of more than 100 brains donated to science, all but one was found to have degenerative brain disease.
And now with football season here, a troubling new report tonight. We've long heard about the link between football and head injuries, concussions. And tonight a new study finds the risks are even greater than we imagined. Alzheimer's, Lou Gehrig's disease, a startling reality check just as the season kicks off.
It's traditionally a big week for high school football. But for many parents and kids, a strong debate continues over the risks and rewards of the game. This season, 2 high school football players have died of injuries sustained on the field. Countless others have been concussed.
Growing concern about the dangers of high school football. In the first 7 weeks of this season, there have been 7 deaths related to high school football. That compares to 11 all of last season.
Who am I talking to? Me. Who am I talking to? Me. Who am I talking to? Me. I'm not talking to a group of people. I'm not talking to a squad. I'm talking to you. Because today, you matter more to me than anybody else on the planet Earth. You. This is about you. When I'm talking, who am I talking to? When I'm talking to him, who am I talking to? When I ask you who I'm talking to, I want everybody's mouth to move. Everybody has to know how to tackle. Because it's instant offense and it's instant defense. It's an interception or a fumble. And guys on offense have to know how to tackle better than the guys on defense because they do it the least. And that moment when you do it wrong can cost you your very life.
I mean, tackle football is like, it's kind of scary sometimes because you don't want to get a concussion and like you're worried that like say like one day you leave home to go to a game and then you're afraid that you might not come back like the same way that you left off. So that's pretty much how I feel about tackle football sometimes. Yeah.
But the top concern for parents continues to be concussion.
The trauma team came out and explained to me what was going on. Said that he had broken his neck.
Before the game even started, I was with my girlfriend at the time. I just had this weird feeling that something was going to happen.
She was really good to me. Like the first few months this happened, but I guess she got kind of bored. And she just didn't want to be confined. We just went our separate ways.
There are several people's lives that were affected by that one play.
When I was in ICU, I flatlined twice.
We almost lost Chris on 3 separate occasions.
I went to rehab in Dallas, and I spent 6 months in a rehab facility away from home.
I had feeding tubes in my stomach that they would have to feed me through until I relearned how to swallow them.
I think about the children that are paralyzed, these little boys, and I think about their parents. And I can only imagine the first thought is, I can't die now. I can't die now. Because who's going to look out for him if I'm gone? That's what we're talking about.
It is that focus on safety that drew some 150 people to the LA 84 Foundation and a special youth sports conference on football head trauma. And should children even be playing tackle football? Dr. Robert Cantu is one of the foremost authorities on traumatic brain injury and has authored over 379 scientific publications and written some 32 books, including Concussions and Our Kids. He clearly understands the danger of blows to the head, especially to kids.
Bobby's here, and I love what he's done with the tackling for youngsters. Technique is a huge thing, if taught properly, can avoid a lot of unnecessary head trauma. Much of it happens with poor technique.
Our role, or my role as medical director at USA Football, is to hopefully promote a better, safer game. And as we've implemented the Heads Up Football Tackling program, which is fit just along with Bobby's program, which I think is awesome.
More inventive things like Bobby has done, that's what we need, I believe. We just can't be doing it with live bodies. The price is too high to pay.
I'm a father first, and my son was 12 and he said, "Daddy, I'm ready to play tackle football," back in 1997. And I said, "Okay, I'm going to take you up and sign you up, but I'm going to help out because I don't want you to get hurt." And the president knew my name. He was a Bruin fan, which is cool. And I said, "I'd like to help out." And he says, "You're the head coach." And now I went from one little kid that I was, scared to death for, and now I have 25.
Bobby Hosea was a defensive back at UCLA in 1977 and 78. Following 3 years in the Canadian Football League, he returned to California, where he has enjoyed a successful career as an actor, appearing in more than 70 TV shows and movies. It was his role as a father, however, which led him to his most important assignment.
I started doing the research. Then I started seeing all these injuries that result directly from people hitting with their head. And I just was on fire to go out and share what I knew I had been doing since '97 with the rest of the world.
The research that Bobby found showed that 1 in 100,000 high school football players suffers a serious spinal cord injury. Last year, more than 1.1 million kids played high school football. It was his belief that the majority of these injuries could be avoided if the proper tackling technique was taught at the lower levels of the sport, and the time to do so was now.
85% of all football-related brain injuries on every level of football competition happen in practice. These numbers need to be a wake-up call for us, not just to hear them, but to do something about it. All you got to do is look at the offensive line, for example. If you're a guard, you're going to read the front of the defensive front. You've got to step with a certain foot. You've got to engage the opponent at a certain part of his body. You've got to hit him with a certain part of your shoulder to work up to the linebacker. That's very intricate detail, right? Where's tackling? Why doesn't tackling have that same sort of detailed approach? That's the part that everybody stays away from, but I've focused on it primarily. Number one was to keep the kids safe. I didn't want to see a baby that couldn't get up. I want to have my eyes below the face mask of the ball carrier, because the ball carrier acts first. And when I rip and shoot my arms, it's going to bring my hips forward, rock my head away, and I'm going to hit with my shoulders. We call it strike plate, shoulder tip to shoulder tip, just under your chin.
So every time you go into a pile with your head down, you're really playing Russian roulette with your life, with your health, with your well-being. Every time.
I learned to keep my head up and to rip and not wrap.
Not to use my head in the tackle.
Other kids should come to this camp because you can tackle correctly so you won't get a brain injury in football.
The recent spate of stories about young football players losing their lives or being paralyzed while playing tackle football are tragic and sad, and are very stark reminders that changes, very dramatic changes, are needed. Since most traumatic brain, neck, and spinal cord injuries are the result of players initiating contact with the crown of their helmet while in the act of making a tackle, the key ingredient missing is a standard of care for teaching tackling. Standard of care is a legal term which means you have done your due diligence to minimize what is most dangerous about any activity. There are actual instructions that are inherently dangerous in the very DNA of the game since its inception, and most coaches don't even know it. The more things change, the more they stay the same. And in tackle football, the most dangerous aspect of the sport is making a tackle, but it can be made less dangerous if coaches knew how to readily identify, eliminate, and replace the physical mechanisms, the tackling terminology, the tackling drills, and tackling techniques that lead directly to crown first impact or helmet exposure to contact while a defender is in the act of making a tackle. In 1997, while my son was playing his first year of tackle football, I was no different than any other parent. I was deathly afraid of my son getting hurt to the point where he couldn't get up off the ground. So I created a tackling technique called the dip and rip sticks words to play by 12-step tackle progression. It is now known as the Hosea method and trademarked as the helmet-free tackle training system. In 2011, LA84 Foundation, one of the largest funders of youth sports in California, commissioned a scientific research study to determine if the Hosea method was effective at lowering head impact while defenders were in the act of making a tackle. The result of that phase 1 study showed that the Hosea method removed 100% of the crown
from the tackle when compared to the traditional tackling technique that registered all the impacts to the crown of the head. If you're the parent of a youth or high school tackle football player, or you're a tackle football coach, you know that concussions are a very serious matter when it comes to the game of football and pose the greatest threat to the immediate and long-term health and well-being of every football player on all levels of football competition. Did you know that there's no coach on any level of football competition that is required to know what causes a concussion, nor how to prevent it? There's no standard of care. So the people that really need that knowledge and need that training and education are the players themselves. The best protection you can give your student athlete that plays tackle football is the knowledge and training to protect themselves. Clearly, tackle football is at a crossroads, and concussion is the primary reason for that crossroads. If we don't get concussions under control, the game of football is going to go away. Here's my system of training that I think can be used as your personal standard of care for teaching tackle football.
The only evidence-based concussion preventive tackling technique on earth was born at UCLA in 1978.
First down Cal as Campbell is back. The ball is at the 35-yard line. Campbell gives it to the fullback Jones, and ball breaks out of there. Hosea is across to help on the tackle with Kenny Easley.
You want to teach young kids how to tackle. That's how you tackle, chest to chest. You wrap them up, you drive your feet through, you roll your hips. Clinic.
43 years ago in 1978, I assisted my Bruin teammate and future three-time consensus All-American and NFL Hall of Famer Kenny Easley to bring down Cal Bear fullback Paul Jones, executing the Hosea method before it ever got its name.
The Bay Area in October, south and west San Francisco, east there is Oakland, north Berkeley. And that's where we are. That's the place to be in the Bay Area on this particular Saturday afternoon, right down in old Strawberry Canyon, as the Bears of California host the Bruins of UCLA. This is a football relationship that goes back to 1933, dominated first with the Golden Bears, but over the last couple of decades, it's been pretty much a UCLA party. Last year, the Bruins won it 21-19 in Los Angeles. Here, secondary people, Johnny Lynn at corner, Bobby Hosea at corner, and the safeties, Mike Molina, the strong safety, and Kenny Easley, the free safety, for Terry Donahue's UCLA Bruins. First down there, Bruins 46. Anderson goes for Fournier, is intercepted by Hosea. The UCLA 38-yard line. He had Fournier breaking downfield. That is the 10th interception by the Bruins. 3rd and 10. Down the sidelines. Intercepted. Picked off by Bobby Hosea. Now it's time to go to the record book. 9 turnovers for California. The 7th interception. UCLA had 10 coming into the game.
Anderson just throws it up. He's forcing it against a too-deep zone, and Hosea plays the position perfectly by moving over right in front of the receiver and intercepting the pass.
Intended for John Williams coming out of the backfield.
It is at the Montreal 50-yard line. First down, Alouette. Gargano has the pass picked off by Bobby Hosea. A flag is down on the field. Hosea gets to the Montreal 41-yard line. Let's see what that flag is all about. Let's go downstairs to Bill Stevenson. UCLA and former Montreal Alouette, as you said, Mike, having himself quite an afternoon. Bobby Hosea, how did you figure out that interception?
Well, we were in a cover 3 where I had the short flat area, and he threw it out to white shoes, and I just read it and jumped in front of it.
Beautiful reading.
Well, thank you very much. We work on it all the time in practice, so finally pays off.
Thank you, Bobby Hosea.
Thank you.
what it does to the Alouettes. Overstreet. Well, he may have gotten back to the line of scrimmage not much further. Robinson was there, and so too was Jose again.
Bill Norton, number 69, is the guard who pulls out. Watch again, 35, Bobby Jose with his containment. He won't get into Norton. He won't let Norton get at him. He strings it out and strings it out. He can't come around. As a result, he gets help from the inside, and Jose's playing that corner extremely well.
Words of wisdom. Second down, 11. There's the pass play. And there it is, over to number 43, Eckwood. Shakes away, takes one tackle, and is hauled down on his 38-yard line by Bobby Hosea.
Carnell, the ball. And the freshman cannot turn the corner. Hosea making the stop.
You got it.
First down, Cal, as Campbell is back. The ball is at the 35-yard line. Campbell gives it to the fullback Jones. Ball breaks out with a minute 18 to play as Hosea is across to help on the tackle with Kenny Easley.
If you want to teach young kids how to tackle, that's how you tackle, chest to chest. You wrap them up, you drive your feet through, you roll your hips. Clinic.
Science and technology. In 2011, ET Science, aka K2 Sciences, combined their ingenuity with Rydell's helmet sensor technology, validating the evidence-based Hosea method as the only concussion preventive tackling technique of its kind on Earth.
Okay. Hi, my name is Coach Bobby Hosea. I'm the founder of Train 'em Up Academy, and I'm also the creator of the Dip and Ripsticks 12-step tackle progression. It keeps the head out of the tackle. The number one thing about football is brain injuries. It's really serious, and we've got to figure out a way to keep our head out of the collision, and I think I've done that with my system of training. I think optimum hip position, where your knees are bent, your waist is at a 45-degree angle, and you rip your arms upward, knuckles up, elbow down. You will accelerate the hips, and the hips will control the head, and it will rock away from the oncoming ball carrier. I've done this since 1997. I've been very fortunate never to lose a player to a self-inflicted head injury. That means that the player initiated contact with his head, and it is the technique that does it. When you wrap, the traditional wrap technique causes your hips to go back and your head to go down. It's physics. Ours is ripping, knuckles up, elbows down, causes your hips to accelerate forward and your head to rock away, up and away from the ball carrier. That is what we've done today, and hopefully it'll change the world in terms of limiting injuries and make the game of football safer. Because it is America's game. It's a great game, but it is a dangerous game, and we have to play it more intelligently. We play with our mind, not with our head.
Go. All right, well, what we did here today was we used this helmet instrumented with 8 accelerometers to determine the G-force of the impact. And what we're demonstrating here is that with the rip and shoot method, that it removes the head out of the tackling technique here and minimizes the impact, hopefully to prevent concussions. And so with our instrumentation from the helmet, inside, outside, and on the bags, we were able to demonstrate that. And so that's the next step, is analyzing the data here. And, Bobby's working with us with one of his athletes, and so we had a good showing here, and I appreciate all the work. So
excellent. USC, UCLA working together.
Instructing players to just keep their head up is no longer enough. And coming soon, my helmet-free tackle safety and performance training course to educate parents, players, and coaches on how to play safe, effective tackle football and reduce the risk of concussions, neck, and spinal cord injuries. To save our game, one player at a time.